Hi guys, it's Lucy, and today we're here to do my September wrap-up. September was a decent reading month for me. I read 8 books. I also like to use my wrap-up videos to kind of mention some stuff I did during the month. So September was my birthday month. I had a birthday, so that was something. And I also saw Florence and the Machine in concert. She was great. I have a clip of it on Twitter if you want to see like a little something. I actually have a lot of clips, but I feel weird doing a vlog because most of my clips don't have great sound quality. Those were the 2 big events in September. So now let's talk about the books. Like I mentioned, I read 8 books. I called September in my September TBR Arc September in hopes that it would encourage me to read my arcs, because I'm trash, because I have a bunch of arcs and I just haven't read them yet. You might notice by the fact that I read 3 arcs this month, 3 out of 8. That did not work, but I'll just be talking about the books that I did read. All of these, I always do like a small Goodreads review at least. So if you're interested, my Goodreads is always linked down below as well. And I have timestamps for each individual book. If you want to skip some books or you're just interested in one book, the timestamps will be linked down below. You just click it and the video will jump to that point. It's really a great feature of technology. Now into the books that I read in September. So the first book that I read was Sadie by Courtney Summers. This was one of my arcs, and I received this in exchange for an honest review from NetGalley, and I gave it 4.5 stars. This kind of took book internet a little by storm because it was kind of like a whole event. But basically this is a dual narrative where we follow the title character Sadie after her sister has died, possibly murdered, or at least she thinks she's been murdered. So Sadie is going on a hunt to find her sister's killer. So Sadie goes missing to do this, and sometime after Sadie has gone missing, a radio show host takes interest in the story of like her and her sister, and so he's doing his own investigation because no one's heard from Sadie in quite some time. And yeah, so we follow kind of that. So like we see Sadie doing something, and then we see the radio show host West McCrae. We see him try and piece together what Sadie did, and that was a really interesting element. The story has trigger warnings for pedophilia, sexual abuse, rape, and general violence, but none of it is deeply graphic. It's kind of just mentioned that it has happened, and like it's still unsettling, but it's not like graphic depictions or anything. And Courtney Summers is actually very conscious of that. Like there's little comments about it in the book. But yeah, I gave it 4.5 stars. Like I mentioned, I really liked it. It's a really good book. It's hard to say I enjoyed it because it does deal with such heavy topics, but I thought this really lived up to the hype. I thought the dual narrative really served its purpose. It's also, since half of it is told from this point of view of a radio show host, they made like a podcast of like just his segments, I think. I don't know, I haven't listened to it, but there is like a real podcast based on this story that the publisher made for the story, which I thought was really cool. I was hesitant to pick up this book because I had read another Courtney Summers book about a similar-ish topic before, and I wasn't super impressed. The book was all the rage, but this one blew that one out of the water. So her writing has definitely improved. If you've read one of Courtney Summers' previous books and didn't like it, maybe you'll enjoy this one. I am going to probably look into Courtney Summers' backlog more now, because like maybe some of her books are just hit or miss for me. Maybe All the Rage was the only one that I didn't like. I don't know. Not That Bad, Dispatches from Rape Culture, edited by Roxane Gay. This is an essay anthology. I'm not sure if it's called an anthology. Is it just an essay collection from a bunch of different authors about how rape culture has affected them and their lives, or people that they know's lives, and things like that. I gave this 4.5 to 5 stars. I think it's gonna be a 5-star now that I've sat on it for like more than a month. This has trigger warnings for rape, pedophilia, and sexual abuse and harassment. And so I almost didn't want to read this because I just finished Sadie when I started this, and that was very heavy, and this is obviously very heavy. A lot of the stories that are told in here are very personal and detailed accounts of sexual abuse, and it's a lot. Like it's a lot. Yeah, those trigger warnings, do not ignore them. If you would be triggered by those things, do not ignore those trigger warnings. Please take care of yourself. But if you can handle this, I loved this book. It was so powerful. I think I listened to the audiobook, so each story or essay was narrated by the person who wrote it, and I feel like that added an even bigger impact onto it. So if you can listen to the audiobook, I would recommend that as well. But yeah, I thought it was amazing. I don't even know how to review this because everything is so personal. Like, no one held back in any of these essays, which I think is like an even more powerful thing. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Rise of the Superheroes, Greatest Silver Age Comic Books and Characters by David W. Tosh. I received a copy of this from Bookish First in exchange for an honest review, so this was one of the ARC's Advanced Readers copies that I got. I don't really think this is, I think this is a finished copy, but I got it for review, so that's why I'm counting it in that count. So this is kind of just what the title says. This is a book that discusses the Silver Age comics and how they came about, the books that were popular at the time of that, and things like that. And it has like an extra little added bonus of David Tosh being like a kid during that time. He talks about like some memories he has of like reading comic books back then and stuff like that. So I thought it was a cool, nifty book. I gave it 4 stars. It has like a bunch of like pictures and stuff of like old comic book covers. And since I am a person who was interested in comics, I thought this was nice because I don't know a lot about the Silver Age. I've been more interested in books from like maybe the 80s onwards, and so I didn't know a lot, but I thought it was interesting to learn about. 500 Words or Less by Juleah del Rosario. This is about a girl who, during her senior year of high school, she cheats on her boyfriend and like loses popularity because of that. And to kind of regain popularity, she starts writing essays for other students at her school, like their college application essays, and it's about her doing that and dealing with her feelings about cheating on her boyfriend and feelings about other things that she's dealing with as well, that other people in the school are dealing with. I gave this 3 stars. The book was just fine. I really liked the idea of the book, but the execution left some stuff to be desired. I hated the main character. All of her decisions made no sense to me, like not just as a person who wouldn't make those decisions, but also based on what her characterization seemed to be. It didn't make sense. And like, she was supposed to be very smart. Like, she's writing everyone's college application essays. She's trying to go to like Princeton University, and like the other people, like her teachers and stuff, say she's very smart. But I guess this is an instance of being very book smart and not street smart, because she just acts dumb. I also thought the other characters weren't that well fleshed out, or at least not the characters that I would expect to be. She had 2 best friends in this book, and I felt like I knew the people that she ended up writing essays for more than I knew her 2 supposedly best friends. So yeah, and also like her interactions with other people really didn't make sense. There's a plot twist kind of thing at the end I thought was very unnecessary and felt almost manipulative to the story and to the reader, so I really didn't like that. And yeah, so I gave it 3 stars because I was fascinated by the story. There were some interesting ideas brought up, especially in regards to the essays, because the essays are used kind of as a lens to see like other perspectives and other people's lives. So I thought that was interesting, but the important parts of the story were very lackluster. Library of Souls by Ransom Regs. This is the 3rd book in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. I'm sure you have heard of this series before, so I feel like there's no need to really give a synopsis. I read the first 2 books years ago, so I decided to just finally finish the series. I know that there's a companion, I don't know if it's gonna be a trilogy, but companion series coming out that basically, from what I've heard of the synopsis of the next book, picks up right where this one leaves off, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna read it. I gave Library of Souls 3.5 stars. It was good, not the best, an okay conclusion, I would say, but it did leave me a little bit intrigued to read the rest of the series, or to read the new series, but I don't really like the series that much. So I just like the idea of it, I feel like. I don't know, or maybe the hype is getting to me. But anyway, I listened to the audiobook, and I honestly didn't really feel like I was missing out on much, not having the pictures. In this book, you find out even more about the peculiar world. It's very hard to say that word. But in this book, you find out more about the peculiars and things like that. So I thought that was interesting. I always find like world building and like the lore of things interesting. What the fuck? I'm sorry if you can hear whatever that is. It happens every weekend. I don't know what that is. I hated the romance still. In the first book, I hated it. In the second book, I was like, And in the third book, I went back to hating it because it was very apparent in this book. And I never liked the romantic couple. It's a spoiler for me to tell you about it, I guess. But if you want to know, like, you can guess if you have read it, and if you haven't read it and you want to know, I don't know, ask me in the comments, or like my Goodreads review, I have the spoiler section in there. Overall, 3.5 stars. I don't know if I'm going to continue on. I probably won't, just because I don't want to be attached to this series anymore. I have the Tales of the Peculiar, like the fairy tales that they have, and I will be reading that because, like I said, I do like world building things, and that's like one of those things, but I don't know if I'm gonna read the new series that's coming out. The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Sarah Knight. This is supposed to be a self-help book that is clearly a parody of the life-changing magic of tidying up. This is like a friendly parody, I guess, because the author of this read that book and really loved it, so which is why she wrote this. So if you're worried about someone attacking that book, she doesn't do it, so you could still read this. I am going to be doing a full kind of review video on this. I'm not going to talk about this too much, but basically I gave it 3.5 stars. It was cute. It wasn't exactly what I was looking for, because I was looking for a more emotional kind of thing, and this felt very, I don't know, practical, which is good, but it wasn't really what I was looking for. Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. I listened to this on audiobook, which I do recommend because it's read by Neil Gaiman. He has a very nice voice. I don't know if you know that, but he does. This is Neil Gaiman's retellings of the Norse mythology, or some of the stories in Norse mythology. So we have the Norse gods, Odin, Loki, and Thor is the basis of most of these stories. It's just like his retelling of those stories. I really liked it. Neil Gaiman is a fabulous writer. As we all know by now, I thought this was a great collection. I gave it 4 stars, and I would recommend it if you're interested in Norse mythology. Probably if you know like a lot of things about it, this might not be the book for you, but this is definitely a good book for beginners, at least. I thought so. The last book that I read was Almost Adulting by Arden Rose. It's very shiny because it's a library book. Look at this. I got it at the library by accident. I meant to get a different book. I forgot what the book is called, but it's called like Adulting, and I guess I typed that into the search bar and like I thought I put that on hold, but I actually put this on hold, so I showed up at the library and got this. So, but it was still good. This was actually on my TBR already, so it wasn't a terrible mistake. Arden Rose is a YouTuber. She makes YouTube videos, like lifestyle ones. I don't really watch her channel, but I just like to read YouTuber books because I'm a weirdo. Anyway, I gave it 4 stars. I liked it. I saw someone else's review say that this is more of how Arden does adulting than a guide to adulting, and that's very true. This is not like a self-help kind of book, really. It's just more of a memoir, like the YouTuber memoir kind of thing. And her stories were cute. Like she told like stories of her life and like living in a long distance relationship and stuff. So I think that this is a good book probably for her audience. That's how I like to review YouTuber books, because they're really writing for the people who watch her videos, and like obviously other people like me pick them up, or like other people not like me pick them up, but like I like to view it as if I was one of her viewers, and her audience is probably like youngerish girls, and she has some good tips for them and some good ideas, and so I liked it. Do I really think you need to read it? Probably not, but I liked it. So those are all the books that I read in the month of September. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any opinions about any of the books that I mentioned, please leave a comment down below and let me know what was your favorite book that you read in September. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel because I make more videos where I talk about books, and hit the notification bell so you can be notified whenever I post a video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!